Get ready for some juicy alpha coming your way. Very controversial. But first, save your game and put down your Game Boy. You're going to have to pay attention to this. I heard a whisper from a credible birdie. Yes, I do talk to birds, and yes, they whisper to me. So we have to pay attention to this. Let me tell you exactly why Richard Hart will never publicly admit or show a provable connection to PulseChain pDAI. I'm going to tell it to you right now. Now, I was already on the right path. I mean, the guy who made pDAI is literally dead. Rest in peace, Nikolai. Okay? They poisoned him. Don't know if you guys know by now, friends. If you watch my channel, you know. So, instead of just outright offering you what the Coconut Intelligence Agency or Mossad or any of them, they probably all work together. What they do is they send you crazy first. So they start poisoning, you know, your water supply or whatever. You get like iodine poisoning, whatever it is. You start going loopy for about a month or 2 or 3. You start going loopy and like you really go delirious. Then you eventually end yourself. Okay, so that's what they do. Because they realize that they just start offing people. Everyone's like, wait, that's suspicious. All right, guy's never touched a gun in his life. How do you have 7 bullets behind his skull? Right? And he's like, his end of life letter, it's written in Chinese. But the guy's French. How'd that happen, right? So people start asking questions. So now they know the best thing to do is make you go crazy first. They did that to Nikolai. Okay? So let me give it to you Bonnie Blue style. This is why Richard, maybe Maria, any PulseChain pioneer that may or may not be involved, this is why they're never going to publicly admit it. Check it out. So look at this. Crypto firm Paxos to face SEC charges ordered to stop minting Binance stablecoin. So my friend CZ from Binance, friend, you know, my friend CZ. CZ, remember, Binance has highest volume in the world in crypto. Problem is, CZ doesn't play ball with them. CZ is very neutral. They don't like that. They want you to literally play ball with them. So Binance had all the volume, had all the trading, and they had the BlackRock spot ETF coming. And they wanted to send it through Coinbase. The problem is Coinbase is dog shit. Everybody kept trading through Binance. So they took CZ down. Friends, you got to think about this. CZ was so legit. He sold his FTX token early when he realized, oh, I've just received information. The thing's a Ponzi. I'm just going to sell. I just want to leave straight away. That's how legit the guy is. Now, of course, it's not innocent. It's not an angel. Yeah, there's some things that they let slip by. They just never wanted to get involved politically, blah, blah, blah. We get it. Okay, but I'll just give you an idea of that, right? But they still pinned him down for it. So the SEC, under instructions from the US Fed, which no one will ever find out, right? They were told, so Binance had a $20 billion company. The Binance USD had $20 billion of everyone's money collected for the BUSD stablecoin. They'd buy US treasuries. They collect 5% on that. They're making $1 billion a year. Perfectly profitable. They just do what Tether did, right? But what happened was they got raided. They got told to shut down. The SEC declared them a security, which is funny. Like, why do you declare them a security, but Tether USDT is not a security? Why isn't USDC a security? Why didn't they have to shut down? It's because they play ball, right? So the corrupt SEC disbanded Binance BUSD stablecoin unlawfully. Okay, so this is like example number 1. If you are known as a public figure, oh, I like BUSD, it's got the word Binance freaking attached to it. Yes, this is cool, right? Look at this. They recently asked the Polygon Co-Founder to step down. So the government, friends, is literally putting a water pistol. They're putting a water pistol to everyone's heads who don't comply publicly, okay? Look at this. Tether revealed partnership with Secret Service fancy banana investigators in letter to US Senate. So in 2023, I reported this, or maybe it was last year. Tether, it was revealed in court, hired fancy banana investigators and the Coconut Intelligence Agency and the Secret Service. They're all in Tether. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, Tether's probably going to take over the industry now. They played ball. They probably sat him into the office and they're like, hey, you know, if you don't let us in, we can literally just take you down, you know, because they own all the US treasuries. They can find them. Obviously, they played ball. That's why it leaves a bad taste in your mouth, Bonnie Blue style. The fact that Bitcoin conferences invite the Tether CEO. Why? Because Max Kaiser, Bitcoin Maxi, has an ICO allocation to Tether, made lots of money on it. Bitcoin has literally no technology at all, so they have to deploy on Ethereum and other EVMs to actually make their money. But then they dump the US Treasury yield and they go buy Bitcoin. That's why they're allowed into the club. So remember, they are totally compromised. Okay, so there you go. So we got like multiple examples, friends. So if you're a public figure, you've only got, and they know you, you got one of two choices, okay? If you comply, what does comply mean? It means give the keys to fancy banana investigators, coconut intelligence agency, secret service. There you go, we're in. If you don't comply, CZ. 4 months in jail. He still gets hit pieces by the Wall Soy Journal. They still do hit pieces on him. It's a send a message. If you don't play by our rules, you're done. Okay, that's how it works. Now, honestly, I'll be honest, okay? Let's just play fair. America, they want to maintain world dominance. They want the US dollar to be the world monetary power, right? So it just makes sense they do this. You know, obviously I don't agree with it, but like that, obviously if you sat down in a room with them, they're like, listen, if we don't do it, China does it. Another adversary does it. We have to do it, dude. We need US dollar dominance. Like we're literally employed by the government. We have to like protect the American people, right? And then and by the way, they make a point. Because they're like, oh, imagine we don't do stuff like this and the rest of the world takes over crypto faster than us. And then our purchasing power of Americans go down. And then suddenly we don't have as much, I guess, like reign over the world anymore. The people will suffer, you know, and it'll all be from the butterfly effect, domino effect from here. So that's just the game, the power play happening, okay? So after all this, you now see why my nipples remain pegged. Very interesting. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting and why I have to refer you to my nipples being pegged again. I got the highest value content in crypto, man. It's not. Don't even put me in the same dimension as these other KOLs that you and I have to watch together, okay? They're in flatland. We're in like the 7th dimension here. We're like the little wisp. You ever played Dota 2, friends? We're just like a wisp, high spiritual being. Look at this. Bonus. PulseChain has a legal ruling now. It's not a USA-owned chain. Therefore, anything on it is sovereign. Do you know that? Funny. That's the actual real edge from Judge Auntie Carol Amon saying, oh, nobody actually owns this chain. It's not because of the security ruling for PulseChain. It's because of pDAI. That's right. It's sovereign. Anything on the chain's sovereign, bro. It's not a USA coin. It's not a Finland coin. It's not Antarctica. It actually lives on the internet. It's actually the only chain with an actual ruling from a judge. Now, of course, if this got too popular, America just comes and changes the rules. But it hasn't gotten too popular, has it? Don't worry about that part. If it gets too popular, it means you've won. It means maybe pDAI is already $1. Okay? Therefore, even in the worst case, pDAI is not a stablecoin. It's a totally different thing. Well, it's not a stablecoin. First cycle unicorn. We have to give it another name. What is it? Just call it like a Pokeball. You know? So whatever. It's something else. It's not a stablecoin. Stablecoins are like legally, they have to be defined. What is a stablecoin? You know, is it an item with a $1 backed US bank account? Okay, they give it that label where this is something else. There's no rules for it. Only a visionary could even conceive of this again. By the way, my friend, Mark Ulix, thanks Sommi, true alpha again. So that's why I say here, friends, we are the oracle. What does that mean? Does that mean, oh, we say it's $1? No, it means it's on PulseX. Anything on PulseChain has a bid and offer price from the liquidity pools, right? We are the oracle, as in it trades on whatever the market says it is. We would be the citizens of this sovereign nation. So that's what makes it different. So that's why, friends, you look at this. This is me on the left. This is the non-founder of pDAI, the founder of PulseChain on the right. So remember, every chain and exchange, they're launching their own stablecoin. Ripple, RLUSD. Friends, Coinbase even launched their own Bitcoin, pBTC. OKEx launching their own Bitcoin, XBTC. They're all launching their own stablecoins and they're all their own wrapped Bitcoin. All of them. Richard Hart already thought of this in 2021. A long time ago. So, pDAI, the people's DAI. Every chain and exchange launching, remember that, they're stablecoin, they're wrapped Bitcoin. Lean into the greatest story that crypto ever told, available on PulseChain. My nipples remain pegged. So, this is what we call like the thesis. Also, this looks very homoerotic. Fluffy slippers stay on. Yes. Actually, the art's getting really good, sir. Well done. Look at this. It pops out and stuff out here. Actually, very good. So, it really is the greatest story ever told. Because, like, hey, like, isn't it funny? Like, oh, I want exposure to the Stablecoin SuperCycle. It's funny. You can punt on it. That's funny. That's funny. By the way, don't buy this stupid coin. 33 times, they say. I want exposure to the wrapped Bitcoin SuperCycle. And then there is a pWBTC. Which is, you gotta admit, it is funny. But, like, is it funny? Or it's genius? Because if it works out and it's true, a billionaire has found a way for you to get long on the thesis. There's no company, there's no equity. Like, you actually buy the thing that's meant to be the wrapped peg version. No one's ever seen anything like this, ever, where you know the target. What's pWBTC's target? Michael Saylor's Bitcoin. Remember, friends, in crypto, there are two wide macro cyclical forces, yeah? We've got the business cycle, goes up and down. We've also got global M2 goes up and down. When global M2 goes up, which it has been over time, people want Bitcoin. Therefore, if we're pegged to the BTC, we can provide a yield farm on PulseX and people just hold it in the bear market. So PulseChain has a residual network value sitting there. Where else can you earn yield on your Bitcoin? Nowhere. What about if global liquidity is going down? Okay, then US dollar has dominance. That's why if this thing is at $1, this becomes more powerful, as in like you can earn yield on it and you use this to slowly, I guess, DCA your risk on assets, which luckily for us, Richard Hart already has founded all of these. All of these are business cycle risk on stuff, you know? PulseChain, PulseX, Inc., and you have Hex, both hexes, right? So that's pretty much, that's everything, you know? And all of that, imagine it's combined with a wallet, the fart wallet. So now you have a wallet that has all these. Okay, everything up and down. Business cycle goes up, you've got the risk on assets. Pulse, PulseX, EHEX, PHEX, Inc. Business cycle goes down, like what it is right now. You need Bitcoin and you need a stable coin. That's the key missing piece. Very interesting, isn't it? And slowly but surely, people are going to capitulate, friends. Remember, I've already told you, my friend, Mr. Durty Crypto, a PulseChain community content creator, right? We just say KOL now, friends. Instead of saying influencer, because it's like hard to roll off the tongue, they say KOL, KOL, key opinion leader. It's actually made by South Koreans to basically like just summarize it. KOL. So he's changed his mind because he saw Maria dumping at the start and he goes, oh, it's malicious. Maria's dumping on us. And remember, I was saying, look, man, I don't think a guy with like 50 million bucks wants to dump for $1 million and then quit. It just doesn't make any sense to me, right? So he's actually changed his opinion, right? Look at this. With enough research, he now is in the believers camp. Okay, so if you want to know why it's discrepancy, friends, it's because when people saw Maria dumping, there was a rift. They're like, wait a minute, we don't like seeing that. We like leave. You know what that tells me? This is high-level Pokemon stuff, okay? That tells me if Richard ever wants to shake you guys out of Pulse, PulseX, EHEX, PHEX, Inc., he's just got to dump from one of the OA wallets. That's all he's got to do. Now, I don't know if he'll ever do that because it will like set a different precedent, right? And it's coins he's founded. So like he doesn't want to, I guess, sell from coins that he has founded from and publicly shake them out. But that's just something to think about. So I know all your weak points, by the way. All your weak points is Richard's selling. I know you guys will leave. What's pDAI's weak point? Oh no, Richard doesn't like it. Survived. Oh no, Richard was selling from the 5996 wallet. We survived. Oh no, it went to 0. We survived twice. By the way, there is one more weak point. Okay, but it doesn't work on us yet. It'll only work when all the weak hands are in, maybe at 5, 10, 15 cent pDAI. And the weak point is if Richard Hart points to another decoy stablecoin. All right, maybe that's coming down later on. So the key pDAI price is 0.005. By the way, friends, I've got to tell you, when I talk about pDAI, I am also talking about pWBTC. It's all the same thing. It's just I can't, say this forever and ever. All right. So I even have the levels here, right? When Caddy committed homicide and sent pDAI literally to 0 off the chart. So we've recovered the level, 0.003. The next one is Richard Hart spitting on pDAI area, 0.004. And then Maria Glitter Pants denying pDAI, 0.005. So we're not that far off. Once we've recovered that, we got to start ask questions, bro. You're like, whoa. The market recovered 3 bosses of FUD in price action. Ask yourself, who bought? Isn't it very interesting? Who bought, who sold? Interesting, right? So think about this, right? If the market price recovers them and goes higher, let's say we go back to a cent, everybody has their Sommi's peg nipples picture. Ask yourself, why did a net surplus of buyers absorb the trifecta of bosses and their FUD? Caddy FUD, Richard Hart FUD, Maria FUD. Why was there a net surplus of buyers? Who was buying? Who was buying? Were they buying? Why were more people buying? Why weren't the sellers enough to crush their bones and spirits forever? Why did it actually recover? Once you start asking yourself this question, right? I'll tell you what's going to happen, friends, because we've been in this game long enough. See, right now, anything I say, it doesn't hit you. If pDAI is back at 1 cent, now we go, it's 100x to $1. And everyone just has a mind explosion because now you can compute it. Because now it's like, hey, is there 4 zeros or 2 zeros? I just can't get it. I know. But once you just hit that 1 penny mark, it starts clicking. So, friends, I've given you some very, very high value content. It can go to 0. And look, friends, I'll tell you this now because, like, friends, you got to understand from my perspective. Friends, it is annoying. But, like, I get it, man. Like, everyone's like, when do I sell? When do I sell? When do I sell? Bro, I don't know. But that's why I've told you, man, I could be selling right now. Does it scare you? I could be all out, actually. I could have 0. I could be all out of everything. In fact, I could literally have nothing in crypto. You have to assume this in the marketplace. Then you got to make a decision for yourself. You get used to it, right? Here's another thing. How do you know someone hasn't done a strategy of where they buy a lot more than they should just so they can sell it early just to sleep comfortably at night? That's a viable strategy. A lot of people do that. So, for example, some people are like, oh, I never want to put more than, like, let's say $3,000 in pDAI. But then maybe you're G'd up and you put 5,000. Right? Just give you an example. Say that extra 2,000 pDAI, whatever number that is. Maybe they have like an extra, let's say they have 1 million pDAI extra. Let's say they wanted to earn 2 million, but now they have 3 million. Well, they could have a strategy where they go, all right, if I ever see you at 10 cents, I'm going to sell that 1 million pDAI, get myself 100 grand just so I can sleep at night like a baby because I know I shouldn't have had that extra supply. The people did this with Bitcoin, by the way. There are people who bought more Bitcoin value than they should when it was like 25K just so they can sell a bit at 100K. They go, I don't think we're done at 100K, but I want to take some profit there. I mean, Uncle Bobby does that. Uncle Bobby has literally done that. Uncle Bobby in the last cycle, he sold like 5 Bitcoin at 25K on the way up. Just because like he knew, like he goes, listen, I know it's not over, but this is just part of my strategy just to take something off the table. Okay. So everybody's got their own mixing and matching of how the things go, friends. And you never have a full answer because no one ultimately knows. But we are all relying upon the success of PulseChain. All right. But here's the thing. PulseChain is going to look after itself because it's going to participate on the upside of the business cycle. Right. So now you know. Why is Richard probably never going to tell you or anyone that is ever involved with pDAI or even likes pDAI? Now you know. If you have anything to do with a stablecoin, you're a target, right? And you got to remember, Richard Hart, he's thinking big. So he's thinking like, what if one day PulseChain doesn't have 200,000 holders? What if it has 20 million? What if it has 2 million? He doesn't want 2 million people pointing to his Twitter saying, oh, Richard Hart, this is his stable coin, because it's not, but, oh, it's this guy, and then you become a government target. So he's planning for the future like that. You get it? So a lot of these friends could be just fugazi. A lot of these things, we just tell ourselves these stories to do whatever, but That's why I don't expect Richard to ever say anything, you know, but, you know, I'm just telling you now, if you're not long, you're weaker than everyone who is long. You want to know why? Because there's one guy's Twitter named Richard Hart. All he has to do is go from pDAI stupid to do something. He just has to mildly neutralize his message. Mildly. That's it. All right. He might just have to say, you know, there's a forked coin that's up like, you know, 2,700% in the past 13 days. He won't even tag it. He'll just say it. And we'll all know he's talking about that, right? Just telling you, right? So maybe he never does it. Maybe it's gone forever. I don't know. But what I like is, see, this is where you look at markets, friends. You don't need Richard's Twitter, bro. The price action talks. So imagine we recover all the way back up to like 1 cent and he hasn't said a word. Wouldn't that be crazy? We're like, whoa. We like dropped to 0 and then recovered 2x higher than when he started the FUD and he has not said one positive thing. That's how, when you're staying in the market to be bullish, those are the price action signals you want to see to let you know you're in the right path. But still, it can all go to 0. I've got peg nipples. Like, subscribe. Catch you soon.